fired housekeeper placed her phone on the marble table, while the terrified heiress fought to pull her hand from a document that would surrender her vote. The Mafia boss entered as his fiancée reached for the phone. "Do not touch it." The housekeeper turned the screen toward him. The witness had entered the estate 43 minutes after the document claimed he watched the signature. Then, the guards moved toward the open doors. "Close them," Luca Moretti said. "No." The single word stopped the nearest guard with his hand on the brass handle. Mara Bell stepped between Sofia and the closing doors. Her black service uniform pulled slightly across her full hips and generous chest. The garment had been altered more than once during 8 years of work, but every seam remained straight, clean, and professionally repaired. Her metal name badge lay on the marble floor where Vivian Hale had thrown it after firing her. Vivian stood on the other side of the gilded table in a red satin dress tailored to emphasize every narrow line of her body. Diamonds rested against her throat. 2 of her fingers had been beneath Sofia's chin moments earlier, directing the young woman's face toward an unfinished signature. Vivienne let her eyes travel down Mara's uniform. That dress has been begging for mercy longer than Sofia has. Mara did not look down. "The seams are holding. Your explanation is not..." A guard near the dining room lowered his face to hide his reaction. Vivienne's smile thinned. "Silk belongs at this table." She glanced at Mara's apron. "Service belongs behind the doors." Mara looked at Sofia's hand, covering the unfinished document. "Then stop needing a servant to preserve the truth for you." Luca's attention moved from Mara to his daughter. Sofia was 22. But everyone in the hall had been speaking as if fear had erased her adulthood. Her fingers were white against the page. Her breathing came in short pulls. The open doorway behind her was the only thing she had not stopped watching. Luca Moretti did not need to threaten people. He led a family whose private security, freight companies, financial holdings, and political influence extended far beyond the gates surrounding the estate. When betrayal touched his organization, rooms closed, witnesses separated, and consequences followed. His men expected him to repeat the order Mara had refused. Mara raised one hand toward the guards without touching either man. "Leave the exit visible." Luca turned toward her. "Sofia cannot answer while your men are sealing the room." Vivienne folded her arms. "She is panicking." Mara kept her eyes on Sofia. "Ask her." Luca looked at his daughter again. "Sofia, leave them open." Luca lowered one hand. The guards stepped away from the handles and took positions in the corridor. "Open," he said. Sofia released one finger from the table. It was not relief yet. It was the first visible sign that someone had allowed her a choice. Vivian moved toward the phone Mara had placed on the marble console. The recording was still active. Luca's eyes dropped to Vivian's hand. "Do not touch it." The command crossed the hall with enough force to stop every person inside it. Vivian withdrew her hand. She was distressed. She said, "I was helping her focus." Mara rotated the phone toward Luca. 2 times appeared on the screen. The document claimed the signature had been witnessed at 11:12 in the morning. The witness had entered through the north gate at 11:55. 43 minutes separated the records. Mara did not offer a theory. "This is an incident record, not an accusation." Vivian looked at Luca. Mara entered a private family matter without permission. "You fired her?" Luca asked. "I had no choice." Mara did not defend herself. She addressed Sofia. "Do you want the document removed from the table?" Vivian answered first. "She needs to finish signing while the witness is still available." Mara kept her eyes on Sofia. I asked her. The clock above the fireplace marked each second. Sofia swallowed. Take it away. Vivienne's smile tightened. You asked me to help you avoid the trust meeting. I asked you to explain it. You said you could not face another vote. You said signing would only let you postpone meetings when I felt overwhelmed. Vivienne softened every word until control sounded like care. That is what protection looks like when someone is not ready to carry the full weight of the Moretti name. The family trust controlled legal companies, reserve funds, and voting interests that kept the Moretti network united. If Vivienne gained Sofia's vote, she would not merely arrange meetings. She would gain influence over the family itself. Mara approached only after Sofia nodded again. She lifted the paper by its edges, placed it beneath the glass cover of the console, and sealed the lock. Luca stepped toward it. Give me the document. It belongs to Sofia. It is inside my house. That does not make every decision inside it yours. The security captain lowered his gaze. No one spoke to Luca that way in front of his own people. His instinct showed in the angle of his shoulders. He wanted the paper, the phone, the answer, and control of the room. Mara held his gaze. If you take custody, you sign for it. Vivienne laughed quietly. She is making you request permission in your own home. No, Mara said. I am keeping everyone from changing the story later. Luca studied her. She had stopped his first order, protected Sofia's exit, preserved the paper, and refused to surrender it merely because his name stood above the gates. He extended his hand. Show me what I am signing. Mara opened a read-only custody form. The original would remain sealed. Every person who viewed it would be recorded. No page could be replaced or completed without creating a new entry. Sofia's breathing slowed enough for her to speak. Dad. I did not understand what that paper gave her. Vivienne moved closer to Luca. She understood when we discussed it. Her panic is rewriting the conversation. Sofia flinched. Mara spoke before Luca could take over. The authority belongs to your daughter. Luca looked at Sofia instead of Vivienne. What do you want me to do? It was not an apology. It was the first question he had asked since entering the hall. Sofia looked at the unfinished document beneath the glass. I want to know why it says someone witnessed my signature before he was here. Luca faced the security captain. Verify it. Mara raised one hand. Not by voice. Every guard heard her stop his command for the second time. The gate record, camera clock, and arrival history must be checked together. The person performing the check records their name. No private confirmation. No corrected entry. Luca looked at Sofia. The open doors and the sealed paper. Do it her way. The captain left for the control room. Vivienne stood beneath the chandeliers in red silk. Her smile had disappeared. Vivienne did not dispute the gate time. She disputed what it proved. A clerical error does not make the document false. Mara stood opposite her across the sealed console. It makes the witness claim unreliable. The attorney may have entered the wrong time. Then the witness can explain it. Mara lowered her hand. Until that happens, no one treats this document as complete. Vivienne moved beside Luca. Her red satin dress brushed his dark sleeve. Her gaze dropped again to the strained buttons of Mara's uniform. You are allowing an overfilled housekeeper's dress to dictate legal policy inside your own home. Mara met her eyes. My body is not evidence. Vivienne gave a soft laugh. No, It is merely another example of someone refusing to understand the limits of her position. Luca turned his head. He did not raise his voice. Every guard in the corridor stopped moving anyway. Her uniform is not under examination. His eyes shifted to the paper beneath the glass. Your document is... The smile disappeared from Vivienne's face. And if you discuss Mara's body again, you leave the room before the document does. Mara looked at Luca for one beat and returned to the evidence. She did not thank him. She had already defended herself. He had only made the room recognize the same boundary. Mara enlarged the first page. This is not a scheduling form. She indicated the first section. It transfers Sofia's trust vote. The second, her legal correspondence. The third, access to her medical information. She turned to the final page, and it has no automatic expiration date. Sofia stepped closer without touching the glass. You told me it only postponed meetings. Vivienne kept her tone gentle. It protects you when you are overwhelmed. You did not tell me you could vote for me. You asked me to carry what you could not. Sofia pressed a hand to her chest. I asked you to explain it. Luca took out his secure phone. My attorneys will handle this. Mara placed the custody form beside his device without touching his hand. Your attorneys represent you. She looked at Sofia. Sofia needs someone whose job survives disagreeing with this family. Luca's finger stopped above the screen. Do you want independent counsel? Vivienne stepped forward. She does not need another stranger frightening her. Sofia moved away from Vivienne. Yes. Mara displayed 3 independent referrals and stepped back. Sofia reviewed the names herself and selected Helen Ward, an attorney who represented beneficiaries in family-controlled trusts. Helen answered on the second ring. My name is Luca Moretti. Sofia said, a document was submitted in my name, but I did not finish signing it. Do you want advice independent of your father and his organization? Helen asked. Sofia looked at Luca. He did not answer for her. Yes. Then you approve every sentence filed under your name. Yes. Helen asked for read-only copies of the disputed paper, the preserved gate discrepancy, and the custody record. Luca reached toward the console. Mara stopped him with one sentence. Do not seize anyone's phone yet. His eyes cut toward her. If devices disappear before Helen preserves the reason, Vivienne can argue that the household manufactured the sequence after you arrived. Vivienne smiled faintly. She is already planning my defense. I am protecting the evidence from Luca's anger. The words struck harder than an insult. The guards knew what happened when Luca lost patience. Mara had just identified that instinct as a weakness in front of his own people. Luca looked at Sofia. Her fingers had loosened around the chair. He looked at the open doors Mara had protected. What should happen next? It was another question instead of an order. You sign for read-only access, Mara said. The control room authenticates the connected systems. Sofia receives independent advice before anyone explains the document to her again. Luca read the custody form before signing it. You require this from everyone, only from people powerful enough to deny later that they took something. The security captain returned with a control officer carrying a sealed tablet. The officer authenticated the gate clock, camera synchronization, and arrival history, while the captain observed. All 3 matched. The preserved gate discrepancy remained unchanged. Vivienne leaned over the display. Then the attorney entered the time incorrectly. Possible, Mara said. The concession surprised her, but until the witness explains it, the document cannot be treated as properly witnessed. Luca signed the custody form. The protected entry changed from gray to blue. Read only. For years. His signature had moved money, men, and entire divisions of the Moretti network. This time, signing restricted him. Mara handed the phone back only after the system confirmed his receipt. His fingers touched the edge of the device, but not hers. Sofia approached the glass. Does that mean the paper is stopped? For now, Luca said. Mara kept the answer inside the facts. It means no one in this room continues the signing. Sofia's shoulders lowered. Vivienne remained composed. You have delayed a protective document because of one disputed entry. Before Mara could answer, a phone on the table began to ring. The document attorney's name appeared on the screen. Luca activated the speaker. I need confirmation that Sofia completed the power of attorney. The attorney said. She did not. Luca replied. A pause followed. That may no longer be enough. Sofia's face tightened. What does that mean? The trust committee received a certified copy before noon. Vivienne said nothing. The paper beneath the glass was unfinished. Somewhere outside the estate. Another version was already being treated as final. Withdraw it, Luca said. The attorney hesitated. You cannot withdraw a document submitted in Sofia's name unless she instructs the committee herself. I am instructing you. The authority is hers. Mara watched Luca absorb his own mistake, in another man's words. For years, the Moretti name had opened bank doors, ended negotiations, and made officials reconsider which rules they intended to enforce. Luca protected his family by stepping in front of them. This time, stepping in front of Sofia would repeat the harm. The authority belongs to your daughter, Mara said. Irritation flashed across Luca's face before recognition replaced it. He turned towards Sofia. What do you want? I want them told. I did not finish signing. The committee requires a formal objection before 4. The attorney said. Send it. Luca ordered. Sofia shook her head. I will send it. Her voice trembled. But the words held. Vivienne moved nearer with both hands visible. You are overwhelmed. Let Luca's attorneys handle this until you feel steadier. Sofia's breathing shortened again. No one is taking your rights. Vivienne continued. We are keeping the trust from forcing you into decisions your health makes difficult. Mara stood beside Sofia, without closing off her path. I will stand beside you. Not speak in your place. Sofia looked at her. What if they say I am too frightened to understand? Then answer only what you understand. Fear does not make your choice belong to someone else. Luca watched the exchange. His guards feared disappointing him. His advisors translated his preferences into commands before he finished speaking. Mara gave Sofia support without making obedience the price. Vivienne noticed his attention. Mara has spent years making herself necessary. Now, she is using a family crisis to prove it. If I wanted control, Mara said, I would not be asking Sofia to hire someone independent of this household. Luca spoke to the attorney. Send the objection materials to Helen Ward. Not someone paid by you, Mara said. Luca paused, then nodded. Not paid by me. Sofia went to a sitting room to speak privately with Helen. Mara waited outside. She did not enter. Listen at the door, or demand to know what was said. While Sofia was gone, Luca faced the security captain. The temperature of the marble hall seemed to fall. Freeze every temporary credential tied to this engagement. Seal every outbound record. Preserve every camera. No one deletes a message, a calendar entry, or a door history. Vivienne stepped toward him. Luca. His eyes moved to her. She stopped. If one record changes after this moment, every Moretti-controlled credential attached to the person responsible freezes before the screen refreshes. 3 guards moved at once. Electronic locks engaged across the service systems. Mara stepped into Luca's line of sight. Preserve the evidence. She pointed toward the open doors. Do not preserve the room around Sofia. Luca held her gaze. The dangerous answer remained visible in his shoulders. Then he turned one hand downward. Evidence only. No one blocks her path. The guards cleared the exits. Sofia returned 12 minutes later, with her phone held more steadily. Helen will meet us before the committee session. She looked at Mara. She may need you to authenticate the preserved entry. Luca answered before Mara could. Then Mara will come. The command returned by habit. Mara removed her estate badge. That sounded like an order from a man whose fiancée just fired me. The security captain shifted his weight. Luca could have reinstated Mara with one sentence. He could have ordered a car and treated her cooperation as another household resource. Instead, he forced himself to ask, "Will you authenticate what you maintained for Sofia?" Mara looked at the badge in her hand. "I will authenticate the system. I will not accuse anyone beyond what it shows." Sofia approached. "And you will stay beside me?" "Yes." At 4. No one answers for me. No one interrupts me. And no one removes Mara because they dislike what the system says. Luca nodded. "I accept." Vivienne's expression remained controlled. The committee will see a frightened beneficiary, a dismissed employee, and a household turning against itself. Sofia faced her. They will also see me. The clock above the fireplace showed 1:14. Less than 3 hours remained. Mara picked up her badge but did not fasten it to her uniform. The unfinished original was protected inside the estate. The certified copy was already outside it. Before Sofia could challenge it, the committee would ask why anyone should believe Mara Bell. The control officer returned with the estate tablet under the security captain's supervision. He opened 3 authenticated views door. Credential and account. The result appeared within seconds. At 6:12 that morning, a household credential had opened Luca's private office. The system displayed one name, Mara Bell, for the first time since Luca entered the hall. Mara's hand shook. The edge of her badge tapped once against the marble. Vivienne saw it. There, even she understands what this means. Luca did not answer. Mara placed her physical badge beside the screen. Her number ended in 419. The office entry had used a credential ending in 872. 2 credentials. 1 identity. Mara steadied her hand. Someone copied my authority. Not my badge. Vivienne stepped beside Luca. Or Mara created another one before leaving. Mara slid the tablet toward the control officer. "Do not let me open the next layer." The officer looked surprised. "My identity is attached to the entry. I should not control the examination." She stepped away from the console. Let the officer verify the source. Let the captain observe. Helen can review the result. Vivienne's expression hardened. That is convenient. Luca watched Mara surrender the only advantage that might have allowed her to protect herself. If the system accused her, she would not interpret it. If it cleared her, she could not claim she had shaped the result. she has surrendered every opportunity to manipulate the result. Luca said. Vivienne turned toward him. Or she knows exactly what the system will show. That is why someone else is checking it. His calm carried more danger than a threat. Vivienne changed tactics. Mara controlled domestic access for years. She created procedures no one formally approved. If anyone could manufacture another credential, it was her. Luca addressed Mara. Could you create one? With security access and a second person present. Could you create it from my private office? No. According to procedures, Mara designed herself. Vivienne said. Mara almost answered too quickly. She stopped. If she defended every attack, she would begin sounding like the accused employee Vivienne wanted the room to see. If she said nothing, the guards might interpret silence as guilt. Sofia noticed the pause. Mara, for 1 second. Fear crossed Mara's face before discipline returned. I am here. The words were meant for Sofia. Luca heard something else. Mara was not afraid of the technology. She was afraid of what the Moretti family did when a trusted name appeared beside betrayal. He stepped back from the console. No one treats Mara as a suspect unless the evidence supports it. The captain nodded. Luca had not declared her innocent. That would have replaced evidence with his judgment. He protected the process she requested. The control officer completed the check. Mara's physical badge had never been reported missing, replaced, or suspended. The second credential had been created 2 days earlier, before Vivienne fired her, before Sofia entered the hall with the document, before Mara made the call. The plan had already included her name. Vivienne spoke first. Mara knew she was leaving. She may have prepared access before resigning. Luca turned sharply. Leaving Vivienne's satisfaction remained carefully concealed. She submitted notice 3 weeks ago. Apparently, she did not consider it necessary to tell you. Mara lost her voice for one breath. Not because she had hidden the notice, because Vivienne had known. Mara had filed through household administration and expected her departure to matter no more than the work she performed. Vivienne had known enough to build a story around it. Sofia reached toward Mara, then stopped before touching her. The restraint helped Mara recover. The process should survive the person who built it. Her voice sounded lower. If my leaving made it possible to steal my identity, the failure belongs to the system. Luca kept his eyes on her. You plan to go, yes. Why? This house rewarded silence and called that loyalty. No one moved. Luca had heard threats from men who wanted his territory. Mara's sentence carried no threat. It was worse. It was true. The control officer displayed the creation source. The false credential had been created through a temporary engagement account established for the luncheon. The same account had received expanded access to Luca's private office. Sofia leaned closer. Who controlled it? The officer opened the outbound history. His expression changed. The account had already sent something outside the estate under Sofia's name. 3 red lines appeared on the sealed tablet. A certified copy had been sent. A message had been sent as Luca Moretti. A request had been created for medical files. Mara enlarged the second line. Sofia read the message. It stated that she had signed freely, understood the transfer of authority, and wanted the committee to recognize Vivienne before the 4 o'clock vote. I never wrote that. Vivienne answered gently. You told me you could not face another meeting. I translated what you wanted into language the committee would understand. You used my name to protect you from a process that has already made you ill. Sofia's breathing caught. This time, she did not retreat. I asked for help explaining the meeting. I did not ask you to tell people I surrendered my vote. Vivienne turned toward Luca. She was exhausted. Her memory is being shaped by Mara's accusations. Mara opened the authorization field. There was no client consent. She rotated the display toward the room. You did not communicate for Sofia. She touched the sender field. You replaced her. A bead of moisture formed at Vivienne's temple. She reached for a glass of water and missed the stem. Helen Ward caught it before it struck the floor. Do not touch the tablet, Helen said. Helen had entered without Moretti security. Family files. Or instructions from Luca. Sofia had completed the conflict check herself. Helen asked one question. Who touched the original information? The control officer authenticated the preserved gate discrepancy, the duplicate credential, and the outbound history under her observation. All three remained unchanged. Disable the copied credential, Helen said. Preserve every action attached to it. Vivienne stepped forward. You have no authority over this estate. Helen looked at Sofia. My client does. Sofia's hands trembled. Her answer did not. Disable it. The credential changed to inactive. Its history remained intact. Luca watched Mara step farther from the screen. She had placed the evidence into hands that could reach a conclusion she might dislike. Vivienne shifted to Mara's resignation. She knew she was leaving. She knew her access would expire. She had motive to create a crisis that made this family depend on her one last time. Helen turned to Mara. Did you create or send the message? No. Can the current evidence prove who typed it? No. Can it prove Sofia authorized it? No. Mara looked at the empty authorization field. It proves the opposite. Sofia faced Vivienne. You sent people a decision I never made. I made sure the committee understood what you had asked me to do. No. You made sure they heard your version before they heard me. The words cost Sofia. Her shoulders trembled again. For one frightened second, Mara imagined Sofia standing before the committee, unable to speak, while Vivienne described that silence as incapacity. Sofia lifted her phone. Helen. File the objection. In my name. Helen opened a draft. You approve every sentence? Yes. At the meeting. I advise you. Sofia looked at Mara. You do not answer for me. I will stand beside you. Not speak in your place. The committee acknowledged the objection, but refused to cancel the session. Sofia had to appear before 4. Luca reached for the solution he understood. Mara is reinstated immediately. She will accompany us and authenticate the system. Mara removed her badge and placed it on the console. No. The word stopped him more completely than a guard could have. You are needed. Being needed after I was discarded is not the same as being respected. This is about Sofia. That is why I am going to the committee. Luca's shoulders eased. Then return after. Mara folded her white apron and placed it beside the badge. The process should survive the person who built it. She asked the officer to deactivate her access at 1:30 and preserve the full history. Luca began to object. Then he saw Sofia watching him. Follow her instruction. Mara faced Sofia. I will meet you outside the committee room at 3:45. You are leaving the house now. Yes. But you are still coming. I gave you my word. Mara walked through the open doors, carrying nothing that belonged to the Moretti estate. 11 seconds after her badge expired. The first domestic access problem reached security. By the time Luca entered her empty office, 7 routine failures were waiting for approval. Her procedures remained neatly labeled. Her personal things were gone. A junior housekeeper stood in the doorway. Her luggage left before breakfast. Luca looked at the blank space on the operations board, where Mara's name had been erased. Where did she send it? A driver found her employment folder beneath the rear seat. Inside was a Boston contract and a hotel confirmation for the following morning. Union Station. Mara Bell had planned her exit before anyone finally noticed what she held together. 5 armored SUVs entered the Union Station drop-off lane in a black line. They did not block the public road, but they occupied enough space to turn pedestrians' heads and pull the station cameras toward them. 5 doors opened almost together. Men in dark suits stepped onto the pavement. Luca emerged from the center vehicle. His eyes were bloodshot from a day without rest. Dark stubble marked his jaw. His charcoal shirt was open at the collar. His security detail started toward the entrance. Luca raised one finger. Every man stopped outside. He entered the station alone. Mara sat beneath the iron clock at a narrow cafe table. Her charcoal coat covered the black service dress she no longer represented, but it did not erase the full shape of her body beneath it. Her luggage had been checked. A Boston ticket rested beneath one hand. Luca's gaze caught briefly on the line of her waist and the mouth that had contradicted him inside his own home. He forced his attention back to her eyes. "You believed you could walk out of the Moretti world without making me come after you." Mara did not stand. The Moretti world ended at the station doors. Luca glanced toward the public exits and the passengers moving freely behind her. No guard stood close enough to intervene. "I could have stopped the car. You could have. I could have held your luggage. You could have. I could have made this train wait." Mara pressed one finger against the ticket. "And then you would prove everything I said about you was true." For several seconds, Luca looked like the man who could order the station sealed. Then he pulled out the chair opposite her. He stopped before sitting. "May I?" Mara looked through the glass entrance. The security team remained outside. No one touched her luggage. She nodded once. Luca sat with both hands visible. "The driver found your folder." Mara accepted it and checked the seal. "Thank you. You planned this before today. I accepted the Boston position 3 weeks ago. Why was I not told? I submitted formal notice. I never saw it. That may be because someone withheld it, or because a housekeeper's resignation was not considered important enough to reach you." Luca's mouth tightened. "That is not better. No, it is more ordinary." Vivienne had exploited the estate. She had not created every weakness inside it. Long before the false credential, Luca's system had decided which voices deserved his attention. The estate began failing 11 seconds after your access ended. He said, "It did not fail. 7 problems appeared in less than an hour. That exposed undocumented labor. It depended on you." Mara looked at the Boston ticket. For years, she had wanted someone in the Moretti family to recognize what she carried. Now Luca finally saw it. Part of her wanted that recognition to matter more than it did. She pressed the ticket flat. "I am still leaving." Luca's shoulders tightened. "I came here prepared to bring you back." Mara's fingers closed around the ticket. "Then I saw you beneath that departure board." He continued, "And I understood that taking you back would not mean you chose me. It would mean you won." "Yes." The admission came without defense. Luca leaned away from the table, giving her more room. "So I am asking. You cannot repair 8 years in one afternoon. I know. You cannot give me a new title and call the system independent. I know. You cannot make Sofia's crisis the reason I surrender, an exit I earned before today. No. What would real independence require? He asked. An operations office separate from household service. Its own budget. Outside legal review. Dual approval for emergency access. Protection for staff who preserve information after someone powerful orders them to change it. Luca took the committee agenda from his coat and wrote each condition down. No family member should be able to dismiss its director alone. Mara added. Not Vivienne. Not Sofia. Not you, including me. Especially you. These are not my terms for returning. I understand. They are not a price. I understand that too. Then why write them down? Because the estate failed before Vivienne touched Sofia's paper. His voice lowered. And because I allowed the people closest to my power to benefit from everyone else's silence. Mara held his gaze. It rewarded silence and called that loyalty. Yes. The station clock moved toward 2. Will you come with me? Luca asked. No. Why arriving under Moretti's security would make me look like your employee? You are not my employee. Not anymore. A train announcement moved through the vaulted ceiling. I will meet you there. Luca said. That is your choice. And after the hearing, I board the 6:20 train. His hand tightened around the pen. Is there anything I can say that changes that? Mara looked at the ticket to remind herself why she had chosen it. No. Luca accepted the answer. He stood without touching her shoulder. Hefola. Or the ticket. At 3:45. At 3:45. He took 2 steps and stopped. When you prevented me from closing those doors, I thought you were challenging my authority. I was. A trace of dry amusement crossed his face. You were also protecting Sofia from me. Yes. Thank you. Mara did not tell him he was forgiven. Her phone rang before she finished her coffee. Helen's name appeared. Sofia's objection had been filed. The committee had received a second document. It claimed Sofia lacked the mental capacity to challenge the first. Mara reached the trust committee building at 3:42. She came alone. The Boston ticket remained inside her folder. Luca waited beneath the stone entrance with Sofia and Helen. But he stood several steps away from them. He was giving Sofia room to choose whom she stood beside. Sofia crossed the pavement toward Mara. The letter says I cannot challenge the power of attorney unless someone speaks for me. Her face had lost color. Who signed it? My former trauma specialist. Helen gave Mara a copy. The assessment was dated that morning. The doctor had not treated Sofia in 6 months. It claimed her panic attacks prevented her from understanding legal and financial decisions. Luca's voice carried the anger he had held since the station. He is attending a conference in Montreal. I can have him placed on a secure call. No, Mara said. Luca's eyes hardened. Do not make the doctor appear, because Luca Moretti demanded it. Let Helen request confirmation as Sofia's attorney. Luca looked at his daughter. Through Helen. Sofia said. The order died before reaching anyone. Luca stepped back. Inside the building. A committee evaluator approached with a thin medical packet. Helen held out one hand. What information were you given? The first page was the disputed assessment. The remaining pages contained selected household notes describing panic attacks, sleepless nights, and requests to leave crowded rooms. Sofia stared at the format. Those came from my home. Mara recognized the estate template. Who sent them? The estate's authorized medical contact. The evaluator said, the estate has no permanent medical contact. Vivienne emerged from the committee corridor in a dark suit. The red dress was gone. Her method had not changed. Sofia needed an emergency evaluation. Someone had to provide enough history to protect her. "You released my private notes?" Sofia asked. "I made sure the evaluator understood your condition. You selected the parts that made me look incapable. I selected the parts that showed how pressure harms you." Mara turned to the evaluator. "Check the source." A technician scanned the packet. The screen displayed the temporary engagement account. A second line showed that Sofia had given no authorization. Helen closed the packet. "My client never authorized this release." The evaluator placed it in a preservation envelope. "I will not rely on these materials until source and consent are reviewed." Vivienne shifted toward Mara. "You managed those files. Your identity appears in the access history. Every new discovery makes you more important." Mara placed both hands away from the equipment. The account released the files. "The copied credential carried my name. Neither fact proves who typed the request." Vivienne almost smiled. "So there is no proof against me." I said the evidence has limits. Luca watched Mara refuse the easier accusation. If she wanted revenge, she could have used his anger to name Vivienne before the chain was complete. Instead, she protected the truth, even where it temporarily protected the woman who had framed her. She has surrendered every opportunity to manipulate the result. Luca said. Vivienne turned toward him. "You are trusting a woman who planned to leave your house." "No, I am trusting what she is willing to place outside her own control." Mara did not let the words become a promise. He was finally seeing her. He had not yet earned her return. Sofia gave the sealed packet to Helen. "I want the committee told those notes were released without permission. They will be, and I want to speak before anyone decides whether I can speak. That is the first objection we will make." The committee doors opened. Sofia's breathing tightened. For one frightened second, Mara wondered whether Sofia would reach the table and lose her voice. She moved beside her without leading. "You do not have to sound fearless. You only have to say what is yours." "My vote," Sofia said. "Yes." "My medical information." "Yes." "My voice." "Especially that." Luca approached but stopped outside Sofia's space. "Do you want me beside you?" Sofia considered the question. "Behind me." The answer struck him. He accepted it. "Behind you." They entered in that order. Helene and Sofia first. Mara beside Sofia. Luca several steps behind. Vivienne followed with counsel. Daniel Mercer sat at the far end of the committee table. He lifted the disputed medical assessment. Why should this committee accept the judgment of a frightened beneficiary over a medical document bearing an authenticated signature? Sofia's fingers tightened around the chair. Luca remained behind her. Every instinct in him demanded that he step forward and make the committee hear him first. He stayed where Sofia had placed him. Helen rose. "Before this committee compares Sofia's judgment to a medical assessment, establish whether the physician made that assessment." Mercer held the document toward the conference camera. Sofia's former specialist appeared from a hotel meeting room in Montreal. "Doctor, did you write this?" He read 3 lines. "No." Vivienne's attorney stood. "It carries your authenticated signature." "My signature was applied." "My judgment was not." The doctor opened Sofia's clinical history. "I have not examined her in 6 months. I treated her for trauma-related panic. I never declared her incapable of legal or financial decisions. I would not make that determination remotely from selected household notes." Mara placed the source page beside the assessment. "The signature is real." She placed the empty authorization field beside it. The consent is not. Helen closed the disputed packet. Then, this letter cannot be used to silence my client. Mercer looked to the committee. The assessment was excluded. Recognition of the power of attorney was suspended while Sofia's objection was heard. Sofia closed her eyes for one breath. The paper no longer controlled the meeting. Vivienne immediately changed direction. A temporary suspension may be appropriate. But Sofia still requires protection while the family investigates. She was no longer defending the assessment. She was trying to preserve her role. Sofia stood. Her chair scraped softly across the floor. I asked Vivienne to help me understand the trust meeting. She gave me a document that transferred my vote. Legal correspondence. And medical access. She said it would only let her postpone meetings when I felt overwhelmed. Vivienne's attorney rose. That is Sofia's interpretation of a private conversation. It is my memory of what happened to me. Sofia's voice shook. She did not apologize for it. I began signing because I believed refusing would prove I was unstable. I stopped because Mara asked whether I wanted the paper removed. Mercer turned toward Mara. Did you tell Sofia what decision to make? No. Did you tell her the document was fraudulent? No. I showed her that the witness claim did not match the preserved gate entry. Did you ask Luca Moretti to overrule her? No. Mara looked at Sofia. The authority belongs to his daughter. Mercer faced Sofia again. What do you want this committee to do? I reject the power of attorney. The secretary entered the statement. I reject every message sent today in my name. I do not authorize Vivienne Hale to represent me in trust, medical, legal, or residential decisions. Vivienne's hand closed around the edge of the table. I want the unfinished document preserved. Sofia continued. I want the access chain investigated, and anyone who claims I agreed must show where I said it myself. Mercer asked whether she understood that rejecting the document meant exercising her own vote or appointing someone later through a new process. Yes. Do you understand the financial consequences? Helen explained them to me. Do you want her to answer further questions for you? Sofia looked at Helen. No. I want her beside me. The committee voted. Recognition of the power of attorney was suspended unanimously. Every message sent under Sofia's name was marked disputed. The engagement account was frozen. Vivienne's temporary access to Sofia's trust information was removed. Luca stayed behind his daughter until Mercer finished reading the decision. Only then did Sofia turn. You stayed back. You asked me to. Vivienne's attorney requested a recess and advised her not to answer further questions. Vivienne obeyed for the first time that day. She said nothing when Sofia's instructions replaced her name. Nothing when the false messages were preserved. Nothing when Mercer asked how a copied credential carrying Mara's identity had entered Luca's private office. The control officer displayed the corridor sequence. One engagement badge had entered the West Wing minutes before the copied credential was used. The badge holder sat 3 chairs behind Vivienne. Claire, Donovan. Claire sat with an event folder pressed against her knees. The route appeared on one screen. Her badge had entered the West Corridor. A copied credential had then opened Luca's private office. No other event badge had entered during the same 5 minutes. Mercer faced her. Was that badge in your possession? Claire looked at Vivienne's attorney. He began to stand. Claire moved her chair away. He represents Ms. Harley. Not me. Questioning paused until independent counsel sat beside her. When the attorney nodded, Mercer repeated the question. Yes, Claire said. I entered the West Corridor. Vivienne spoke before the next question. Claire handled event scheduling, vendor passes, and document delivery. I trusted her with limited access. She sounded disappointed rather than frightened. It was the voice of an employer preparing an assistant to carry the blame. "Why did you enter Luca Moretti's office?" Mercer asked. "I carried a red document case. What was inside? A recovery token and Luca's engagement signing key." The security captain shifted near the door. "In another Moretti meeting." That movement might have ended the discussion and begun an interrogation somewhere private. Luca raised one hand. The captain stopped. Claire saw the restraint. "So did Mara." "Who gave you the case?" Mercer asked. Claire looked toward Vivienne. "Vivienne." Her attorney stood. "My client denies giving that instruction." Claire removed a printed message from the folder. She said Mara had approved temporary access for the engagement staff. The message used Mara's authorization phrase. Mara recognized the words immediately. They appeared only in a sealed continuity manual stored inside Luca's executive archive. Someone had not merely copied her name. They had copied the language. Staff had been trained to obey. Claire continued. Vivienne said Mara would be dismissed after the engagement announcement. She said if Mara objected, it would look like revenge from an employee who already planned to leave. Mara's fingers went cold. The committee room blurred at the edges. She saw the folded apron, the empty office, and 8 years of work reduced to a weakness. Someone expected everyone to believe. For several seconds, she could not speak. Luca moved half a step toward her. Then he stopped. He did not touch her. He did not answer for her. Mara drew one slow breath and found Sofia watching. "I am still here." The words steadied them both. Vivienne turned toward Claire. "You had the badge. You carried the case. You had access to the event system." The protective fiancée had vanished. Now, she was an executive, describing an assistant who had exceeded instructions. Whatever Claire did, she did outside the authority I gave her. Claire's voice shook. "You opened the inside door." Mercer turned to the control officer. "Can the system test that statement?" The full route appeared on one screen. Claire's badge had entered the west corridor. The copied credential had opened the private office. Vivienne's credential had opened the private library. Vivienne's signing key had expanded the engagement account. Mara stood beside the display without touching it. Claire carried the case. The copied credential opened Luca's office. Vivienne's credential opened the private route. Her signing key expanded the account that sent Sofia's document and medical information. A bead of sweat moved from Vivienne's temple toward her jaw. Her attorney rose. "Access does not prove a spoken instruction." Mara nodded. "No." She faced the committee. "It proves the path." Then she looked at Vivienne. "The investigation can decide how many lies traveled through it." The committee did not need a confession. The sequence showed how Claire's movement, Mara's stolen identity, and Vivienne's access converged. Vivienne's attorney changed tactics. This committee governs a trust. It is not a criminal court or a private Moretti tribunal. Mercer agreed. "We will not determine criminal liability." He turned toward Sofia. "We will determine who remains authorized to represent you." Sofia sat straighter. "Vivienne does not." The secretary prepared the removal order. Vivienne followed her attorney's advice and stopped speaking. Her signing key was frozen. Claire's badge was preserved. Every submission from the engagement account was marked disputed. Luca faced Vivienne. "You used my house. my access, and Mara's name to take Sofia's vote. Her attorney began to object. Luca corrected himself. The access chain passed through you. The investigation will determine the rest. Mara heard the change. Earlier, Luca would have pronounced guilt and ordered punishment. Now he separated what he believed from what the evidence proved. Sofia looked at him. Will you let the committee finish? Luca returned to the position behind her. Yes. Mercer placed the removal order before Sofia. Vivienne's name still appeared under 4 authorities: trust, medical, legal, and residential. One signature would end all 4. Across the city, Mara's Boston train remained scheduled for 6:20. Sofia lifted the pen. Her hand trembled once. She placed her wrist against the table and signed her name. I want Vivienne Hale removed from every trust. Medical, legal, and residential decision connected to me. Mercer read the final option. Temporary or permanent. Permanent, unless I restore it through independent counsel. The committee entered the decision under Sofia's own name. Vivienne's trust, medical, legal, and residential authority disappeared from the system. Her gold family status changed to suspended gray. Luca waited until the committee completed the order. Then he removed the engagement ring from his hand. He did not place it carefully on the table. He let it fall. The diamond struck the stone floor and spun beneath the white lights. Vivienne flinched. Our engagement is over. Her attorney rose. My client retains contractual rights. She may exercise every lawful right through counsel. Luca turned toward the security captain. Freeze every Moretti-funded account under her control. Vivienne stood sharply. Luca, revoke every estate credential. Recover every vehicle, device, key, document, and residence provided by my organization. The captain activated his tablet. Vivienne's estate access was revoked. Moretti corporate accounts under her control were frozen. Family vehicles were recalled. Her organizational representation was terminated. Vivienne's composure broke. You cannot erase me, because a frightened girl changed her mind. Sofia stood. I did not change my mind. I finally made one without you. Vivienne faced Luca. I protected your daughter. I protected this family. You tried to acquire my daughter's voice and called it protection. Vivienne moved toward him. 2 guards stepped between them without touching her. Her breathing became ragged. You know what people will say about me. They will say what the evidence allows. Her eyes filled. Please. Luca did not answer the plea. Escort Ms. Hale to the public exit. Counsel may accompany her. Vivienne's voice rose as the guards formed a corridor beside her. You would choose a servant over me. Luca looked at Sofia's signed order. No. Sofia chose herself. The guards walked beside Vivienne. They did not strike or drag her. Every door that had once opened at her approach remained locked. She left the building without a Moretti car. Account, title, or representative authority. The investigation into the false credential and medical release remained open. Sofia watched the doors close. Then she faced Mara. I did it. You did. My voice shook. It was still yours. Luca stood several feet away. He approached only after Sofia looked at him. You stayed behind me, she said. You asked me to. You wanted to take over. Yes. What stopped you? Luca glanced at Mara. She showed me that protection becomes control when the person being protected cannot refuse it. Mara did not forgive him with a speech. She saw the position he had held behind Sofia. She saw the phone he had not used to overpower the committee. She gave him one small nod. Mercer placed the estate access chain before Luca. The Moretti household cannot certify future trust material, while its domestic systems remain under family-controlled verification. Then, an independent office will be created, Luca said. Mara faced him. Not under your personal authority. No. No family member can dismiss its director alone. No. It must be able to suspend your access during an investigation. Including mine. Mara placed her expired badge on the committee table. The process should survive the person who built it. She did not fasten it to her uniform. At 5:38, Mara stood beneath the iron clock at Union Station. The Boston train waited beyond the glass. Luca approached without guards. A contract, or an offer of money. I sent the independent office proposal to Helen. Good. She will review it before you see it. Better. A boarding announcement moved across the platform. I still want you to stay. Mara looked at the ticket. For one moment. And she imagined returning with him. The house finally understood her value. Sofia trusted her. Luca looked at her as if the woman beneath the uniform had become impossible to ignore. That was why she had to leave. If I return today, I will never know whether I chose the position or the relief of finally being seen. The estate needs you. That is not enough. I know. He did not block the train door. He did not reach for her bag. He did not call station security. Will you come back? If the authority becomes real, I will consider the position if an independent board offers it. And me. You do not get to ask for that while my livelihood depends on your approval. Luca nodded. Then I will wait until it does not. The train doors opened. Mara boarded. At 6:20, she left the Moretti estate. Luca's gratitude, and the first possibility of romance behind. Leaving proved she did not need their recognition to exist. Over the next 2 months, the investigation confirmed that the engagement account had sent the false committee message and released Sofia's private records. Claire cooperated through independent counsel. Vivienne lost all Moretti representation and remained under formal investigation. Sofia chose a new trauma specialist, retained Helen through a limited agreement, and began casting her own trust vote. Luca attended only when Sofia invited him. The estate failed often enough without Mara to expose every place where her invisible labor had hidden a weak system. Luca did not appoint another silent rescuer. A civilian board established an independent integrity and estate operations office. Its director could preserve protected reports, suspend family access, and challenge Luca's decisions without losing the position. Mara completed her Boston contract before applying. The board interviewed her without Luca in the room. She accepted only after the authority. Salary, removal protection, and outside appeal process appeared in writing. On her first day, she suspended Luca's access to the domestic incident archive until he completed the same consent training required of every Moretti principal. He requested no exception. 6 months after the hearing, Luca sent a message to Mara's private email. Dinner. No business. No driver. No expectation beyond one evening. Mara replied with one question. Can I say no without losing anything? His answer came minutes later. Yes. That is why I am asking now. They agreed to meet at a small restaurant away from the estate. Mara entered in an emerald dress. The silk followed the full curve of her hips and gathered softly at her waist. The neckline framed her shoulders without hiding them. No black uniform covered her body. No estate badge explained why she belonged in the room. She belonged because she had chosen to enter it. Luca stood when he saw her. For one unguarded second. The man who made armed crews wait for permission forgot to move. His gaze traveled from the emerald silk at her waist to her mouth. Mara stopped beside the table. My eyes are higher. Luca lifted his gaze immediately. They are. His voice had turned rough. But tonight you made obedience difficult. You survived 6 months of consent training. Try harder. Luca stepped closer and stopped before touching her. May I? Mara allowed the question to remain between them. He did not fill the silence. He did not reach for her. Yes. Luca placed one hand at her waist. His palm rested over the emerald silk without pulling her toward him. Mara closed the remaining distance herself. Luca inhaled sharply. The first time I saw you, I saw a woman inside my house who refused to fear me correctly. And now I see the woman who made my power answer to a boundary. His hand tightened slightly at her waist. Mara did not move away. You are not my employee. Luca said. No, not my responsibility. No, not something I own. Mara closed her fingers around his lapel. Good answer. Luca's voice lowered. Then may I call you my queen? Mara held his gaze. Only when you remember the crown is mine. A slow smile crossed Luca's face. Your crown. He leaned closer, but stopped before their mouths met. May I kiss you? Mara drew him the final inch. Yes. The kiss began slowly. Then Mara tightened her hand on his lapel. And Luca's restraint broke only where she had permitted it. His arm closed around her waist. Her body pressed against his. The kiss deepened. Hot. Deliberate. And mutual. Until the restaurant noise disappeared beneath their breathing. When they separated, Luca kept his forehead near hers. He did not claim forever. He did not give an order. Dinner again, he asked. Mara smiled against his mouth. Ask me tomorrow. And tonight, Mara kissed him again. Tonight is mine. Mara did not choose Luca because he possessed power. She chose to meet him. Only after that power could no longer choose for her. Would you have taken the Boston train? Or stayed in the house that finally understood your worth only after you walked away?